The B-24 Eagle's Chance lifted off from the steel mat runway in southern Italy, just after dawn, its broad wings shimmering in the Mediterranean haze. Inside, the crew of 10 settled into familiar tension. Tight harnesses, cold aluminum, the faint vibrations of 4 roaring Pratt & Whitney engines. Their mission? Strike the oil refineries at Ploiești, the black heart of Germany's fuel supply. For First Lieutenant Arthur Art Givens, the navigator, this was more than another long flight across enemy territory. It was his 20th mission, the one that meant he was finally close to going home. But fate had a habit of stalking anyone who said that out loud. Art didn't believe in luck. He believed in mathematics, maps, magnetic bearings, and celestial coordinates. Until today, those tools had never failed him. They were about to. The formation crossed the Adriatic Sea in silence. The only sounds the steady engines and the occasional cough of a crewman adjusting oxygen flow. Once they hit the Yugoslav coastline, the flak began, wide at first, then disturbingly accurate. The B-24 shook violently as black bursts peppered the sky. "Navigator." The pilot, Captain Reese, shouted over interphone. "Course check." Art studied his chart and drift meter. "On track. Turn in 5 minutes. Copy that, more flak." A jarring boom hammered the fuselage. The plane rocked so hard Art's pencils rolled off the table. The engineer shouted, "Hit near number 3, but she's holding." Art steadied himself and froze. The drift meter's viewplate was cracked, useless. He glanced up. His magnetic compass swung erratically, the flak concussions throwing it into wild oscillation. Another blast. The cabin lights flickered. Art looked at his second compass, the gyro repeater dead 3 tools down. He inhaled slowly. "Okay," he murmured to himself. "We work with what we have left." But what he had left wasn't much. The bomb run over Ploiești was a furnace of smoke and flame. Columns of oily fire clawed into the sky. German flak batteries spat bursting shells so thick it looked like they were flying through a storm cloud of black glass. Eagle's Chance released its bombs. The radio gunner whooped. The tail gunner shouted he saw at least 1 hit. Then the world exploded. A shell burst directly beneath the nose. Art was thrown backward, his headset ripped away. The maps pinned along his navigation board lit on fire. He smothered the flames with his jacket, coughing as smoke stung his eyes. Through the wreckage, he saw the worst of it. His primary map board, the one holding every plotted point between Romania and the Adriatic, was a shredded, smoldering ruin. Captain Reese's voice burst through the interphone. "Navigator, say position." Art stared at the ruined papers. "I can't. Instruments are down." "Maps are, damn it, maps are gone." A heavy silence filled the interphone. Then Reese spoke, low and controlled. "Lieutenant, we need a heading." Art swallowed, throat tightening. If he guessed wrong, they'd end up in the Balkans, German-occupied territory. Parachuting down there meant certain capture. The B-24 couldn't keep up with the damaged formation. They were drifting alone. Vulnerable. Art forced himself to breathe. "Give me 1 minute," he said. It felt like asking for a miracle. He tore through what remained of his chart case. Burned fragments. Edges curled, half of Europe missing. A few scraps were salvageable. Parts of the Adriatic coast, fragments of northern Greece, a corner of Albania. Not enough. He needed direction. Something, anything to fix position. Then he remembered. The astro compass, if it still worked. He scrambled to the small blister window on the top of the fuselage. The astro compass, a delicate device used for celestial navigation, was dangling from its strap, half torn from its mount. He cradled it carefully. "Come on, girl," he muttered. "Don't quit on me now." The sky above was turbulent, clouds rushing in thick bands. But high above them, just barely visible, a patch of blue shimmered open. And through that window, a star. Just one. But one was enough. He slammed his knee into the astro compass mount, locking it back into place. He adjusted the declination dial, aligned the sight ring, and steadied his breath. The bomber bucked. His sights wobbled. "Hold her steady," he yelled. "We're doing our best." Reese snapped back. Art squinted, fighting the vibration, the smoke. The cold. He found the star again, locked it, measured the angle. He scribbled the figure on the back of a scorched map scrap. Then he did something no training manual ever suggested. He calculated a full return heading to Italy, using nothing but a single star, half a map, and sheer stubborn will. It took 30 seconds. It aged him 10 years. He slammed the mic button. "Pilot, heading 244! That'll take us back toward the Adriatic." "You sure?" "No," Art admitted. "But it's our best shot." Reese didn't hesitate. "Roger that." Turning 244, the Eagle's Chance rolled into the turn, and the long journey home began. The Luftwaffe found them within minutes. 3 Me-109s dove out of the sun, guns flashing. The top turret guns rattled the entire aircraft. The waist guns thundered. A 109 flashed past the window, trailing smoke. The tail gunner cheered, before another burst hit the rear fuselage, shredding the tail control cables. "We're losing elevator response," the co-pilot shouted. Reese fought the controls. "Navigator, distance to the Adriatic?" 200 miles, Art replied. Damn, another attack. The right waist gun fell silent, jammed. The engineer took a bullet in the shoulder. The radio gunner kept shouting that he saw more fighters forming behind them. They were dying by inches, but the heading held. 2 hours later, the mountains of Albania rose below them, dark, jagged, crawling with enemy patrols. If they went down there, no one would ever see them again. "Navigator," Reese barked. "Altitude and distance." Art checked the one instrument still working, the altimeter. Then he checked his rough timing logs. "We're close, maybe 40 miles to the coast." "Engines are overheating," the engineer warned. "We can't climb over these mountains." Art stared at the jagged peaks ahead. They weren't going to clear them unless... "Pilot, I've got a valley," Art shouted, bearing slightly south. "It cuts through the range." "It's low enough." "Are you sure that map's right?" Reese asked. "I don't have enough map to be right," Art said honestly. "But it's our only chance." Reese didn't hesitate, taking it. The B-24 dipped into the valley. Wind buffeted the bomber. The wings flexed dangerously. The crew held their breath as the Eagle's Chance skimmed above the treetops, wingtips almost brushing the rocky walls. Then blue, endless, beautiful blue, the Adriatic. The belly gunner shouted, "Navigator, you got us here." Art didn't smile yet. They still had to cross the water, and the engines were dying. One engine overheated and shut down, then a second sputtered. "Pilot," Art said quietly, "at this rate, we might not make landfall." Reese's reply was equally quiet. "We're going to try." The coastline of Italy loomed ahead, still distant. But friendly. Art checked wind drift using a pencil dangling from a string. Crude but effective. He adjusted their heading by 5 degrees. That 5 degrees saved them. 20 minutes later, flying on 2 engines and a prayer, they crossed the shoreline near Bari. Cheers erupted through the fuselage. Art sagged back in his seat, every bone in his body trembling. "We're not done yet," Reese warned. "Prepare for emergency landing." They made it, barely. The B-24 slammed down on the runway, one gear failing, skidding to a stop in a roar of sparks and dust. Silence followed. Then someone said, "Navigator." "You crazy son of a bitch." "You did it." Art finally let himself breathe. 3 days later, an intelligence officer laid out the facts. With no maps, no gyro, no magnetic compass, and only one visible star. Art's navigation had been accurate within 4 miles. A miracle. They called it Art disagreed. He called it refusing to give up. For the rest of the war, crews told the story of the quiet navigator, who brought a crippled bomber home using nothing but grit, scraps of paper and a hole in the clouds. Lieutenant Arthur Givens, the man who found England with a broken sky.